This is not a dumb question. The short answers are that the language that Aragorn and Legolas are communicating in was more than likely Sindarin, but it can be argued that it was Sylvan. And the language that Gimli speaks is the traditional dwarven language, Khazad-dûl. Throughout the movies, we see Aragorn and Legolas exchange words in some form of Elvish. There are a lot of different types of Elvish in Middle-earth, but the language they were more than likely communicating in was Sindarin. But just like with the type of elf Legolas is, it could be argued that it was either Sindarin or Sylvan. They're both a related dialect and typically spoken within the same regions. While Legolas lives among Sylvan elves, he is a descendant of Sindarin elves. Just like the type of Elvish that Aragorn was speaking to Haldir in, it could have either been Sindarin or Sylvan because both were spoken in Lothlorien. But I believe a majority of the elves in Lothlorien spoke Sylvan. More than likely, the language that he was speaking to Haldir in was Sylvan. On to Gimli. Gimli's native tongue is called Khazad-dûl, and we don't hear it a whole lot in the movies other than when he throws around insults. Now, that could be for one of two reasons. The first and more likely reason being because he was surrounded by a whole bunch of people speaking the common tongue Westeron, and so there's no point to speaking Khazad-dûl to people who don't speak Khazad-dûl. The second reason being is that dwarves didn't speak Khazad-dûl around non-dwarves or people who didn't speak it. They were very closed off about their language. And although in the movie, when we see the Fellowship get captured by Haldir when they enter in the forest of Lothlorien, and Gimli says that little insult to Haldir, and Aragorn responds with, "That was not so courteous," it's very unlikely that he actually understood what Gimli said. While some dwarves weren't inherently against teaching Khazad-dûl to their very close friends, it was still a very difficult language to learn and not easy to pick up. And though we see in the movies Gimli and Aragorn become close friends, it's highly unlikely that in the short distance between Rivendell and Lothlorien that they became close enough for Gimli to want to teach Aragorn Khazad-dûl, or for Aragorn to even learn it well enough for him to understand Gimli's line of insults. Unless Gimli was spending the traveling time teaching the Fellowship insults and bad words in Khazad-dûl, which sounds like something I would have done. And something Gimli would have done. In my opinion, when learning anything about Tolkien or anything related to Lord of the Rings, there are no dumb questions. The books can be a lot to get through, and sometimes they're not everyone's cup of tea. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a fan of Lord of the Rings based solely on the movies, or Rings of Power for that matter. Questions like these are what me and other Tolkien creators are here for, literally and figuratively, to help people understand the lore a little bit better, and because we just love talking about it.